Good evening, my YouTube viewers. It is Crystal here, and I'm just here because I wanted to make a video on how to make a forward planner in Excel. The reason why I'm doing this is because several days ago I was asked by somebody to actually make a forward planner. Now, this planner is actually for people's appraisals, but the forward planner can be for anything else, such as like if you were in a managing a project, rather than the name, you could have the task, and then rather than team, you could have another piece of information if you wanted that other piece of information there. If not, you could delete the team column, and then you would have a date. And the way I did it was I did it with the month and the year. So if you want to have this planner to last longer than a year, if you have a month and a year, you can do that. Especially if you're working on a project may take several years. And then if a project takes several years, then you definitely would want to have the month and the year, so you can do that. But it's entirely up to you whether you want to have the month and the year. So basically, I was asked to do this. He sort of wrote down very roughly on the back of a cigarette packet what he wanted, and then I had to figure out what he wanted, and he didn't come back to me and say that he didn't like it, so I'm just going to assume that it was acceptable. So what I've done here is to preserve anonymity, made some totally fictitious names such as Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Miss Piggy, Kermit the Frog, etc. And then I said what team they were on, but you don't have to put what team they were on if you don't want to. But if you were managing a project, then you probably would want to know what team they were on as well. I put the due date, the date too, and so that's the date that it has to be completed. And again, for this exercise, I just use completely fictitious dates. But if you were managing a project, or if you were doing something in the real world, then the dates would be, well, true, really. And then what I did was I did the month due. That's the month and the year. But if you wanted to make it just the month, if this was going to be a short period of time, no longer than a year, then I suppose it would be acceptable to just put the month. But I'm just working on the assumption that this project is longer than a year, so you would want to have the month and the year for that. So I'll tell you what I did. We've got our totally fictitious names, got the team they were in, the due date, and then the month. And this is the formula that you would put into the cell to get the month and the year. It's equals text bracket C2, comma, MMMYY, and it should be YYY. I don't know what happened, but it worked. Even though it said YYY, it still worked. But it should be YYYY. And then what you do is you copy it, and then you paste it all the way down. And then so now you've got the month and the year of this project. So, and now what you want to do is you want to set up one column for each month. And so I set this up for 12 months, beginning from January and ending in December. And then so what you want to do is you want to put an if statement in there. So this is a formula that you would put in: if brackets D2 equals 01-2024 X, and then comma blank. So what that means is if the date is 01/2024, then you're going to get an X. Otherwise, it's going to be blank. And then you do the next column, which is February 24, and there's not really an easy way to do it. You can, what I did was I copied it and pasted it, but I said D2, and then uh I had to, instead of 01/2024, I said 02/2024. So there's no really easy way to do it. You can either copy it and amend it, or you can retype the code yourself any way you'd like. But if you retype the code yourself any way you like, then you're gonna risk having a typographical error. So I just copied it and pasted it and made amendments to the formula. And you can see for March 2024, April 2024, May 2024, all the way to December 2024. And that's what you do for that row, for those 12 columns in that row. And then for January, you're going to copy and then you're going to paste all the way down the column until you get to the end. And what we have for the end is Riddler is the end. And these are all fictitious names from cartoon characters in the movies, just to preserve people's anonymity. And then for February all the way to December, what you do is you have to copy and paste all the way to down to Riddler. And after you've done that, because what this person wanted, he wanted to know how many appraisals in total for each month. So you can total it as well, which is what I did. And so we got at the bottom of the list, we've got totals. And then for January 2024, you say, you put in the formula count if E2 to E25, comma, equals and X. So basically, it will count it if there's an X there, and there were two X's. And then what you do is you copy and paste this in the bottom row for each month. And then what we're going to do is, if you want to know how many you've got for each month, you've got 24, the sum of 24, which that's what you've got, because we had two individuals had an appraisal each month. But in real world situation, this will be different. In a real world situation, you would have people who were overdue their appraisals. And if that was the case, then you might want to have an extra column called ASAP. That's as soon as possible. And then you would put in a code that if it is greater than today's date, put an X. And that's what I did with this particular person, because there were individuals who their appraisals were overdue. And because they were overdue, they needed to be done as soon as possible. And then so that was just an extra column that I put in there. But I didn't put that column in here because we're working on the assumption that everybody's appraisal is done on time. So that's basically what I did and how I did it. And if you don't want to use Google Sheets, you can always use Excel, because I actually made the forward planner in Excel, but I'm doing it in Google Sheets because Google Sheets is free and Excel isn't free. You have to pay for Excel. So that concludes this video where I discuss how to make a forward planner in Google Sheets. I hope you got a lot out of it, because I discussed the formulas with you and what formulas to enter into the cells. So let me know what you think. If there's any other spreadsheets that you would like for me to make a video on, then I certainly will be happy to do so if I've got the skill. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching it. If you like my video, please like and subscribe, and I look forward to communicating with you in the next video.